her. And then once she's flying beautifully now. So now our next step is to take her out into the veldt and to try and get her to hunt on her own.
Okay. And do you witness and oversee that whole thing?
Yes. So we take her out. The first couple of times we usually take Rolo, our pointer. Okay. His job is to go and find the prey. So he runs through looking for a pigeon, usually pigeons for your falcons. So he goes through, looks in through the trees, finding a pigeon. He's like, okay, there's a pigeon in that tree. So you then get the bird ready. Then you get Rolo to try and flush, or we try and flush the pigeon out of the tree. And once it's out of the tree, Indigo's job is to catch it. That's the idea. And then once she's catching, we take Rolo away. She has to find it herself.
Okay.
And then once she's finding it herself and she's catching, we'll release her. Which is very rewarding. We're doing the same for an African hawk eagle as well. She's less picky about when she flies.
It's not the one that ate the 9 dogs.
Not that. No, that's the crowned eagle. Not that one. And the African hawk eagle. Yeah, Fergie. She's beautiful. Fergie.
She killed 9 dogs.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
No.
We've got an African crowned eagle called Fergie. She was hand raised and then released into the local neighborhood. I can't remember exactly where it is. Can you?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was released. She's not scared of people like Eddie. Like he doesn't care about you guys. She doesn't care. But she had to eat. She had to find something to eat.
And she was used to people.
She's used to people. She doesn't care if you're in your garden with your dog. It's a confined space. Your dog is confined in that space. It's an easy target. So she took 9 of them.
9 dogs.
She's in jail for life. Don't worry.
She will not be
She
going
will
on.
never be released. She also hates every person. Like she's not scared of you, but she hates you. So they don't have a sense of smell. So you can pick them up and you can put them back in the tree. Mum and Dad know the difference. They're like, oh, how did you end up in the tree? Oh well, we'll still feed you. Because they are not clever. What are you looking? There's something in the sky over there. They're not clever. Okay, so the wise old owl. Do you have that?
Yes.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not true. Not true at all. You see the size of his head. Underneath those feathers, his skull is a little bit bigger than a golf ball. You see the size of his eyes.
Big.
His eyes take up 75% of his skull space.
So, very little space for brain.
You take into consideration the beak and the ear canals.
Yeah.
There's not much space for brain. His brain is about the size of like a green pea. So to be pea-brained, yes.
Oh,
shame. And that's
but
also
can still be trained, which is amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
They have a natural instinct.
Yes.
The imprints, they don't have the instinct so much anymore, but they have the routine. You build on a routine.
Yeah.
So he knows. I mean, we're a bit iffy at the moment because we're coming into breeding season. He's a little bit hormonal, so he doesn't like to be weighed in the morning. He's not a morning person at the moment. So about lunchtime, about 12 o'clock after the first demonstration, we weigh him, put him back in his aviary, and then he comes down and he flies in the demonstration. He knows once he's finished flying, he goes back to his aviary, he gets dinner. That's what he does. He knows that routine. So he doesn't need to be clever. In the wild, they have the natural instinct to hunt. And don't get me wrong, Finkel has caught in his whole life 1 rat, which was a few weeks ago, but it was in his aviary.
Oh.
So it's what we call opportunistic.
well done.
If a rat came across here now, if it just ran, he'd be like, no thank you.
Really?
I had my barn out on Monday, and a rat, a little shrewy thing, ran across the path. He watched it. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Too much effort.
Yeah, too much effort. But yeah, he was opportunistic in the fact it came into his space, and he's like, oh well, I'll just take it. So needless to say, he didn't fly for a few days because he'd already had his dinner, and he was 45 grams overweight. Finkel is also a bit like Eddie, and he only flies at 240 grams. He doesn't really fly much more. Do you? But obviously he's a smaller bird, so those few grams is a bigger percentage than your bigger birds.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to think about as well. Now his name is Freystad.
Freystad.
Yes.
Freystad.
But he wasn't found in the Free State.
Okay.
He was found in Benoni. So don't ask me why his name is Freystad. But he's obviously a crow. He's a pied crow. Pied meaning black and white. Now, he is also a human imprint. He was probably raised to be somebody's pet, the boy. But when they moved house, they left him behind. They left him in the garden in his aviary. It's not fair. But because he's so clever, he worked out how to get out of his aviary. He escaped. And they'd obviously left a load of rubbish in the garden, and he's a scavenger. So he was like, oh, well, I need to eat, so I'm going to look for my food. So he was looking through the rubbish, and he tangled himself up into some fishing rods. So you'll see that his right leg, he kind of sits on it funny. Thank you, well done. It doesn't really affect him. Good, well done. Did you miss the post? Poor boy. It doesn't really affect him in the fact of his walking or his flying or anything. He just sometimes, especially when it's really cold, his arthritis flares up in it. So you just get some pain relief every so often, don't you? It's also why it's got a little bit of a bulge because of how he sits. So there's a little corn on his foot. The problem is you can see it there. If we were to remove that corn, the issue we've had with removing corns from other birds is, I don't know if you saw Eddie's toe. It kind of turns at a funny angle, and we removed a corn from there. And because these birds are on their feet all the time, and they are very prone to infection, and they also use their feet to eat. So the chances are he'll probably get an infection. No, you have to put it in. No, that's cheating. Dude, you dropped it. You have to put it in the bin, my darling. He is like having a 6 or 7 year old with wings. Literally, you have to keep him. Like the mentality of this bird is of a 6 and 7 year old. You've got one more, my darling. You dropped it, not me. Try again.
How can you put him on your arm without any protection?
So because he's not a bird of prey, he doesn't use his feet to kill. Whereas a bird of prey like an owl or like an eagle will kill with their feet, and their beak is what we call a tool. So their feet are a weapon, the beak is a tool. Because he's a corvid, not a bird of prey, his feet are his tools and his beak is his weapon. So his feet, although, you know, I've got a few scratches from him, but it's like cat or dog scratches. And he doesn't have any power. So he can't squeeze to hurt me. I find it easier to fly him without a glove. Some people do fly him with a glove because he does scratch. Okay. You have to keep it. She's like having a toddler. Yeah. So we've deemed her non-releasable because although she can fly and she can fly beautifully, she can't fly for long periods of time, but also she spent the last 4.5 years with us. That's a long time. Indigo, she's only been here for just over a year. And she doesn't get used in demonstrations, so therefore she's not had as much exposure to people like Libra has. Because initially when Libra came out of the surgery and she, you know, recovered from the surgery, she didn't fly for about a year.
Wow.
Because she, you should have seen the photo. She had like 2 feathers on her wings.
Oh.
You can't fly with 2 feathers. And they take a long time, they're big feathers, so they take a long time to push out and grow back. So she didn't fly for the best part of a year. And, go away. So we brought her into the demonstration so that she could get used to people, because we didn't know she'd ever fly. So we brought her into the demonstration to walk around and to show the beautiful wingspan that she has. But she has now become extremely naughty. Yeah, you see. Yeah. So she is not a human imprint because she'd already fledged the nest, but she is humanized, and she is really badly humanized, so much so that we can't really reverse it. Normally you can. I know it. The problem is you have to feed her when she comes, like you have to, she sees it as a reward. Exactly. So thank you so much. I'm going to take her home before she gets into your bag or flies away with it.
Very good, very informative.
I must say, I was really a bit scared when he was sitting next to me. I don't know the expression of the word, the name of the last one, but it's really
Kamikaze.
Kamikaze. She did a really good job. She explained everything very well, and you could see, you could notice, or you could feel that she likes her job, so that she's just with her job. No?
That was beautiful. That was lovely.
Yeah,
Enjoyed that.
it's very, very special. And
It's so interesting.
my first time here since I can remember. So, and as Callum was saying, one of the most thorough
It's the best bird park I've been to.
Yeah, he's been to several, and this is one of the best, I think. Yeah.